Samantha Ancy. Most people call me Sam. I'm a coach, a writer, wellness disruptor who helps people break free from diet culture and the confusion around food and health. I'm trained in trauma release, gut health, somatic awareness. So my work brings all of that together to help people understand what's really going on beneath the surface, and by doing so, find a more grounded way of living through better eating habits, awareness of trauma patterns, triggers, and just understanding how your environment affects you as an individual person.
Wow. I've got a feeling our work has a lot in common, actually. First of all, can you define Bio Hijack a little bit? What does that mean?
When I first wrote the book, the title came to me while I was driving. I thought to myself, what if it's not my fault? And then my next thought was, what a wonderful title for a book. So that's what I wrote, and that is what I called it. In thinking about the whole process of writing the chapters, going through everything, going through my own journey, and the idea of it's not my fault, and that I'd just gone in this deep dive of what biohacking is about, I thought this is a biohijack, right?
And how did you first get interested in that? Were you trying to lose weight or improve your health or quit drinking, or was there something going on that led you down that path?
It's a little bit multifaceted. I lost my mom to colon cancer, and her diagnosis was a catalyst for me, because up until that point, my focus was cholesterol. Everything had to be heart healthy. And then my mom got cancer, and then all of a sudden there was this new dynamic where cholesterol awareness was really just the drop in the iceberg. And watching her go through her journey and going through my own process of begging and pleading with her to change certain aspects of her life, I started discovering more about myself. The constant life cycle of so many women of losing weight, gaining it, losing weight, gaining weight, that constant up and down. On top of that, having a thyroid that doesn't work properly and having to take thyroid replacement medications, all I was doing was completely and utterly destroying my body in the process. It got to a point of what's important for me. Is losing weight important, or is general health important? Is losing weight going to give me a long and fulfilling life when people that don't have a weight problem are having major health issues? There was just so many catalyst moments in all of that, but just this massive culmination of all the different areas of my life that were screaming out at me that needed attention and needed change, right? And those trauma responses had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of us blame ourselves, don't we, for our cravings. And one of my questions is, how much of this is biology rather than willpower? Because in my field, we've discovered that willpower just doesn't work. We have to change our mindset. We have to change the way we actually think about alcohol in order to diminish our desire. So how do you feel about willpower in the work that you're doing?
But Lynn, being such a good friend of mine, we realized how many similarities there were in our journeys. Although it was alcoholic drink versus a cheeseburger, for example, there's the same driving patterns and we face the same challenges, really. And the reality is willpower does run out.
Yeah.
Because the need and the desire to feel good and to feel safe will always be stronger at some point. So there are tools and ways and tricks and getting around this sort of thing, but at the end of the day, you need something else. And a lot of that willpower is an expectation on the person that's needing to quit or slow down or change habits or whatever, because you need to be strong enough to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to think I've got no willpower when I was struggling, and I always felt it was like a personality defect. But
Exactly, a moral failing.
yes, so you start to feel really bad about yourself, and then it just perpetuates, doesn't it? But they've done research on willpower these days, and they've concluded that it's a finite resource. So it'll keep you going for a few weeks, but there's no way you can be comfortable with either the way you eat or not drinking unless you work on how you see things. You need to work at a deeper level on your subconscious, don't you?
Yes, and the nervous system plays a massive part in that, because we're always scanning for safety.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always, yeah.
What about ultra-processed food and our dopamine pathways? We talk a lot about dopamine in 𝐿𝐵 as well.
It's fascinating. With ultra-processed foods, there's this formula called the bliss point that food manufacturers literally work towards to have the perfect combination of fat, sugar, and salt. Because if those things hit at the right time, you will keep coming back for more.
Yeah.
So for the past 4 weeks, I've been eating only plant-based whole foods. It's been void, obviously, of animal fat, which I didn't realize how much of it I actually needed to be satisfied in my meal processing. What I found, I've either been looking for sugar or looking for salt.
Yeah.
Because the fat is missing. So now we've got a bag of potato crisps in front of us that is the perfect combination of fat from the seed oils, the salt.
Yeah.
There's a sweetness to it because of the artificial sugars that they add in it. It's got no fiber. It's completely void of any kind of nutritional value. And we find ourselves eating 2 bags and still being hungry.
It's like ice cream is the perfect combination, isn't it, of fat and sugar? And that's very addictive as well.
100%. And the trick with that is to find things that can give the same ding ding response,
Yeah.
but not in a way that gives you the addictive repercussions. Because a lot of these additives are addictive in their native form anyway, like MSG. I absolutely love stopping in at the 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐷𝐿𝐵 deli, and often they have these little sample testers of whatever new sausage that they have in, and they've labeled it curry sausage. I grab a piece of the sausage and I pop it in my mouth, chew, very nice, go around, go and check out the vegetables. I come back to the sausage, pop another one in my mouth. Oh, this is very nice. Go around. I went back to that sausage. By the 4th time I went back to that sausage, I said to myself, I almost guarantee there's MSG in the sausage. I went to the counter, picked up the package, MSG. It's there for a reason, because it keeps us coming back for more. So once you eliminate those ultra-processed foods and you're replacing it with something that gives a similar response but doesn't have that addictive component to it, it starts becoming less important, right? I love making a chocolate avo mousse. I use a whole avo, cacao powder, honey, vanilla, cinnamon, whatever, blitz it with a stick blender. It takes me 3 nights to eat that mousse. And then I don't think about it again for another 2 months.
Yeah.
But give me a bowl of ice cream, I'm going to be thinking about it again tomorrow, because it's designed that way.
Yeah. Just as alcohol is designed to be addictive.
And they have their own microbiome.
Yeah.
That's the other aspect of it.
Yeah.
So you've got the dopamine hit that feels really good. And then you develop the gut bacteria that asks for it when it's no longer there. And that is why people who slow down or quit alcohol end up going for sugar, because the bacteria that was feeding of the alcohol needs another food source. You have something sweet. Gut microbiome is wow.
That's so interesting, Sam. So if you were to give people tips about when they quit drinking and they're craving sugar, we say to them, try fresh fruit instead of chocolate if you're worried about putting on weight. And they do, and it works to some extent. Do you have any tips for them?
If I had to be talking to somebody that has eating disorder in terms of severe comfort eating, I would always advise them to not take the crutch away. To have a crutch is important because until we know why we are needing the crutch, we are going to self-destruct. We're going to find another way of doing it. So instead of having the Cadbury's chocolate, for example, because you are needing something to replace, like I said previously, when you are replacing it with something that is not damaging to you, it becomes easier, right? Because no one got fat from eating a box of mango because there's a whole bunch of fiber. You're going to be full.
Yeah.
So give yourself a crutch, but make sure it's something that's not going to harm you or self-destruct, but is going to satisfy that need, even if it's just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just that little bit, because that's going to kick in the safety again of a nervous system. That's okay. I was unraveling. My feet weren't touching the ground. I needed X. She gave me Y. And it actually did the job.
Yeah.
So next time, I know I'm going to be okay with Y. And I'm going to go for that again.
Interesting. Yeah. It's like when we switched from alcohol to alcohol-free drinks, I was so surprised that I could have just one beer or maybe two max. Because when I was drinking, there was no off switch. I would go on and on. But the alcohol-free drink still hit the spot. It gave me some satisfaction. So it's a nice way to transition.
Yeah, I think it's also fulfilling that same part of the pattern behavior that you were doing before. So it's still satisfying to a certain extent. You don't have the alcohol to go with it, but if it means sitting around a table with your friends having a good time, you still got that.
Yeah, we've kept the ritual, but just changed the ingredients. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
How does trauma change the way we eat?
Many ways. If I'd had to look at, say, attachment traumas, childhood traumas, and I'd have to put it together with comfort eating, it's often low self-worth. And at the same time, trauma can have such a lot of different outlets for different people. I had a client who would randomly just drink pickle juice out of a jar, right? And once we dived into it, she got the memory of drinking pickle juice with her mother when she was a child. So at that particular moment in her life, she wasn't going through a very good family situation. So she was needing the comfort of mother. And she found that in the pickle juice in the fridge.
Yeah.
You can find that in the drive-thru at the McDonald's. Not making your own food, hiding it, having the burger, chucking the paper away. I'm good. I'm doing a great job. I'm not overeating.
Yeah.
Meantime, you're self-destructing, right? Your father could make a passing comment that you a little bit on the heavy side. The next thing you know, you're going on these starvation eating plans. But it could also not affect you at all. It could very well be something else. You could go to alcohol. You could go to hard drugs. So, man, there's always so many variables, which is why it's so important to do the inner work.
Yeah.
So that we can put our own stories together, put our own patterns together, and actually just start dismantling them one at a time.
Yeah. So what are the biggest myths that people believe about dieting and self-control? What do you come across in your work?
There are a few, but what I've found to be the biggest driving point is the discipline and the willpower. I find it to be the biggest one because it ties the most to those feelings of blame and shame. The minute that veil is lifted of you don't need to blame yourself for anything, you don't have to feel shameful for anything, that the need to restrict becomes a lot softer. It's the calories in, calories out. You eat too much, your BMI is too much, you need to move more. It's like this whole 80s and 90s diet culture that just hasn't died off.
Yeah.
And it carries these women into their 30s, into their 40s, into their 50s, and then we hit menopause and we struggle to lose weight anyway. And it's just this entire shit show.
Yeah.
All because someone thought it was a good idea to look like a stick insect.
Yeah.
On the cover of a magazine. So yeah, I find that is the actual biggest thing, that you actually don't have to restrict yourself. You don't have to go hungry. You can actually eat till you're full and stay full and still lose weight.
Just the right things.
Yes. Yes. But a lot of people don't even know what the right things are.
And that's part of your work, isn't it? To educate people. Talk to us about your eating plan. I won't call it a diet because it's a diet. It's an eating plan.
I wouldn't even call it an eating plan, to be quite honest. What to call it has been so difficult because I almost don't want to assign so much structure to it. So more of a journey of discovery, if you will, because the problem with eating plans, it's much like willpower. They run out. What happens next week when you're done with my eating plan?
Yeah.
What happens at the end of the month when you're done with your 1-month coaching program and you're on your own? What are you going to eat? Are you going to book a consultation once a week for the rest of your life for me to work out an eating plan for you? That is what makes these things not sustainable. So the foundation of it is to set you up for the information that you need so that you never need me again.
Yeah.
It's great for returning business, but you know what? There are millions of people on this planet, and I'm not going to get through everyone before I die to still make a living. So let me give you the information that you need, equip you to the best of my ability with the tools that I have to share with you, and teach you how to nourish your body. That's the foundation of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds great. I'm a coach as well, and we say that by the end of a program, people should learn how to self-coach almost. That's
Yes, 100%, 100%.
But can you share a few tips with us? Imagine someone's listening to this and she's just thinking, oh, I need to get started and get more in touch with my body and listen to my body. What does it need? So it's about that, isn't it? Rather than just getting hijacked by these modern foods. How can a person who has had a pretty rough diet, how can they begin to get in touch with what they need rather than what they want?
I would start with interoception. Interoception is feeling into your own body. That would be the only way of actually really getting in touch with your physical self. And a lot of it starts with simple mindful practices. Can you actually sit still and be quiet? Can you sit still in a crowded room by yourself and be completely quiet? Can you not think about anything? Can you clear your mind, like truly clear your mind? Can you sit down in a secluded place with a handful of rocks, and every time a thought passes your mind, you take one rock and you put it in the other hand? Can you go through 10 minutes without passing one rock?
That sounds like meditation.
Yes, yes, but in the true sense,
Yeah.
in the absolute true sense. When I started this work with myself, I couldn't do that. I couldn't sit still and not think about anything, let alone think what my stomach was doing after I'd eaten something. So, how does it feel when it nourishes you, right? Say, for instance, you have scrambled eggs for breakfast every day, and one day you decide to have a bowl of oats and you don't generally eat fiber at all. You're going to notice a couple of hours later that the oats isn't exactly sitting well in your gut, or are you not even going to realize that something is happening in your gut? Or are you going to say, oh man, I'm just feeling a little bit of discomfort for whatever reason? That is interoception. Can you feel the food going down your throat and into your stomach? Can you have 5, 10 bites of food and think about, do I feel full? Do I feel satisfied? Because at the same extreme, we can give you a plate of deep fried chips and it feels so good going down. But genuinely, how are you feeling in 10 to 15 minutes time?
Yeah.
Not one person on this planet can tell me that they feel good after eating a massive plate of deep fried fish and chips. It's just not possible. So once you have that awareness and you can focus on how your body is feeling, that's where the real work begins.
When we've had enough to eat is quite a challenge to start with, because we tend to eat until the food's gone, or if we're enjoying it, we maybe have another helping. But we need to think, have I had enough?
Yes, there's a Japanese, I can't remember what it's called. There's a certain word for it, but they stop eating when they are 3/4 full.
That sounds very wise.
Yes, they stop eating when they know that they're 3/4 full, because a half an hour later, you will be completely satisfied.
Yeah.
I had a bean curry for lunch 4.5 hours ago. I'm still full. It's the fiber.
Yeah.
Your blood sugar will spike up and down all the time if you allow it to,
Yeah.
but it depends on what you're eating. If I had to eat a bowl of grapes for lunch, I will have a massive spike and it will come down quickly. If I had to have a massive bowl of couscous salad for lunch, my blood sugar will spike probably to just over 8 and it will stay there for about 4 hours because there's no fiber. There's no real fiber stopping that sugar in the bloodstream. I can have that bean curry for lunch. It will spike, but it will be down within 2 hours. But I'll stay full for 4 hours because of the amount of fiber content in the beans.
Right. Yeah.
But take that fiber out and you've got a different problem. So, for listeners that are wanting to lean on the fruit, make sure there's a lot of fiber in there. Think of it like this. The fiber's like this. The glucose needs to go through all of this to get into your bloodstream, right? If you strip all that fiber away, you've got pure sugar, like a fruit juice, for example.
Yeah.
So make sure the fiber's in there and you'll be fine. You can have fruit as a dessert at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. By the time you go to sleep, that blood sugar would have come down because you had enough fiber with it. It will be a nice boost for melatonin to actually have a better night's sleep as well.
So tell us about foods that will help us to go to sleep.
Fruit is one of them.
That's interesting. What else?
Yes, I've made fruit as my dessert. Look, there are so many different factors that can go into getting a good night's sleep. But the most important is melatonin. That's your sleepy hormone. Melatonin comes from serotonin. Serotonin, a lot of it is made in your gut. Most of it is made in your gut. Most of it stays in your gut to help with digestion and motility. Then the precursor to serotonin is tryptophan. Now, tryptophan is one of the few things that can cross that gut-blood barrier, and then it goes up to the brain, and from there, it gets converted into melatonin for sleep. As with so many things, gut health, it's so important, and to have the most diverse, healthy gut microbiome, fiber-rich foods, and diversity. 20, people say minimum, like 30 varieties of plant foods a week. Even 20 varieties of plant foods a week. And it's actually not hard when you're adding herbs together and all these little things and all the different fruits and all of that stuff you can put together. Different types of prebiotics. Green bananas is a great prebiotic. Your miso paste, tempeh if you like it, soy if you like it, sauerkraut. All of these things make such a difference to the health of your gut microbiome that everything else as a result, including good sleep, happens anyway.
If there's anyone listening to this that doesn't know what the microbiome is, can you just elaborate on what it is and why it's so important to our health?
Think of it like your garden's ecosystem. What do we need in a garden for it to thrive? We need bees to collect the pollen of the flowers, germinate other flowers. We need the hardy daws to come and aerate the lawn. We have all these different factors. It's a massive ecosystem, and everything has to work together, including the weeds that we hate, right? And a microbiome, it is this ecosystem of bacteria that works together to make magic. They transport vitamins, they make short-chain fatty acids, which is also very important. They make substances that is important for gut lining repair, which is also very important once you do stop drinking, because drinking alcohol destroys the gut lining. We know this, right?
Yeah.
And what repairs it is what the microbiome makes. Vast ecosystem of different types of bacteria working together to have a flourishing garden in your gut.
Yeah, that's a
Does that
lovely
make sense?
analogy. Absolutely. Microbiome as a garden. Beautiful. Just
Yes.
thinking about the hardy daws aerating.
Yes.
So talk to us about your book, Sam. Why did you write this book? Who is it for? What's it about?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. It's probably who did I write the book for, more than why did I write the book. And a large part of why I am where I am now in my journey, my horse has got a large part to do with it, but also my mom. I couldn't save her. I was never going to save her. I was never meant to save her. She wasn't interested in anything I had to say. That was her own trauma response. That was her own journey. Very difficult to accept that about somebody you love, especially when they are the age they are, stuck in their ways and just fed up with life. But if somebody needed my advice, somebody wanted my advice, I could say, here's the book. Here's the book. Here's everything that you need to know. If we need to go deeper, here's all the research, and here's a whole lot more book titles that you can read. But for the most part, as a vessel to share what I've learned over the past 10, 15 years, and actually just have it in one place that I can hand it over here. Yeah, read it. Yes.
Yeah, it's nice to collate it all, isn't it? And realize how much there is as well.
True.
And the title of the book is
The Bio Hijack, Trauma Biology and the Kryptonite of the Modern Food System. I enjoyed that word, the kryptonite
yeah,
of the modern food system. Yes, it's on Amazon.
right.
And I have a few other resources on Amazon. I've put a recipe book up recently just to help people transition from conventional cooking into different ways of cooking. And a lot of substitutes, right?
Yeah.
I've got tomato sauce, I've got mayo, I've got the chocolate mousse, I've got everything that you could possibly miss. Chutney, pestos, everything. And I've got a mini ebook on a cravings decoder that goes through all the different types of cravings you can have, from social, environmental, the dopamine, the microbiome, everything. And if you go to Linktree /Samantha Ancy, LINKR.ee /Samantha all my links are there. The social links, the website, the links to Amazon, everything.
Okay. I'll make sure they're in the show notes so that people can just click there. So what came first, the book or the coaching?
Man, that's asking which came first, the chicken or the egg. I think with coaches in general, I think you're coaching for a lot longer before you actually decide, okay, this is going to be a career because I can help people with what they need help with. Yeah, I think with anything, it's just getting to a point where you realize that there's so much more purpose in what you have been through as to where you are now, where you still need to go, and what it all means in the greater scheme of things. Unofficially, the coaching came first, but officially, the coaching came after the book, right? Because you read the book and then what? Now what, Sam?
Yeah.
I can see you once a week. And that's how the recipe book happened. Because every time somebody needs a little bit something different or extra or more. But yes, this is life path.